Hello, Professor Barkle, class. Glad to see everyone back for our final formal speech. And I know all of you had voted for my Germany speech. I was kind of hoping that you didn't, because I feel like I've already spoken a bit in our previous speeches about it. But it's fine, because it was a great experience, so I will elaborate a little bit more on that experience that I had. But for starters, I do want to show you my audience. Okay. For starters, I think, like I said, I did speak about it previously in other speeches, but I lived in Germany for 2 years, and what brought me there was getting married. And I believe it was 90 to 92 that I lived there. So I was young. I was there from age 18 to 20, and you know, a lot of people may think, oh, that's great, you got to live in Germany when you were young. It was scary, and it was very different. And I had to learn how to do a lot of things and grow up really quick. But while I was there, I did get to experience some absolutely beautiful things that I'll never forget. So I'm going to start by showing you some of the things that I remember as being like the markers that stood in my mind from something that, from such a beautiful culture that a lot of us here in the United States actually have heard about. Or, you know, that's like the, well, you'll see. Because once you see the pictures and me talking about them, you're going to be like, oh yeah, I've heard of that. So first I'm going to start by showing you one of the famous things in Germany, and this is called the Glockenspiel. And what that name means is the Glocken means bells and the Spiel means play, because it's actually a clock located in the Marienplatz in Munich, Germany. And that's kind of like a downtown area, much like our Times Square in Manhattan. And this clock people come from all over the world to see. This is a picture of the whole building as a whole. And this is a picture of the close-up part of the clock. It's a chiming clock, and it goes off at 11 a.m., 12 a.m., and in the summer months it actually plays again at 5 p.m. It's something that's featured in every tour guide book, and when it starts to play, it herds people from everywhere. It plays stories that etched a mark on the Munich folklore, and it has these life-size statues that dance around and rotate, and they mock a dance from like the royal wedding, the jousting tournaments, and another dance that they mimic is the dance of Coopers in memory of the ending of the plague. And each show lasts about 15 minutes, and it's definitely something that everybody should see. And at the end of its musical, if you see there's a golden bird towards the top up here, that bird will chirp 3 times to indicate the ending of their show. Another thing that was one of my favorite things is the Christmas market in Germany. It's also known as the Christkindl market, and that goes from mid-November to the end of December. It has colorful Christmas decorations. A lot of you have heard about the nutcrackers. Well, this is where they've originated from. They have the hot wine, which is called Glühwein, and the hot apple cider. It's really an exciting thing. And this is another picture of the Christmas market. It's just something magical. It really is, and it's magical being there, and even seeing the picture, you can see how beautiful it is. Another really famous thing, that this is the one that I think almost all of you have heard about, is the Oktoberfest. The Oktoberfest goes from late September into October, and all these sources are coming from Fox News Travel. It's where I got it from. Even though I live there, I don't have these pictures that would do it justice like I wanted to show you. The Oktoberfest has been going on for 207 years. And one of the things I asked myself as an adult now, because back then I didn't really care to know these statistics, but the Oktoberfest, people consume, there's about 6 million people, and they consume 1.8 million gallons of beer. That's a lot of beer. They have things set up there, like they have 15 beds set up there for the festival drunks, we'll call them, people with the hangovers that need to take a break. They have, it's like $13 a beer. There's 10,000 people in each beer tent when you see them set up. So it's a pretty big thing. And this is your common beer tent that houses 10,000 people, much like a cafeteria that has food where we would most likely relate to. Well, this is like a big beer cafeteria. Pretty cool. And those are all the mosses of beers they're drinking that they refer to as being $13 per beer. And that is what some people may call a beer wench. She's the beer girl. She's called a few things, but she can hold up to 12 mosses of beer on average. So you know they're very strong women. And I think that's pretty cool. And she has the whistle in her mouth because she'll move people out of her way as she's coming through. This is some of the entertainment that you will see there at the Oktoberfest. Some of their traditions. It's quite beautiful. And in my previous speech, I know you've heard me talk about the bratwurst being something that I love. Well, this is them cooking. So I myself would look for that little cooking concoction they had, and that's where I would be. And last but not least, my favorite is the pretzel. That pretzel I don't even know how to explain it because it's like no pretzel here in the United States. It was delicious. And this is the final product of what you'd see in most empty spaces of grass in the Oktoberfest. That's people passed out. And that's very common what you see there. And like I said, you see a patch of grass, there's usually people laying there passed out in it. So that's what I wanted to show you as far as some of the visuals of what I experienced there in Germany. And I didn't want to give you pictures about everything. Another exciting thing that I wanted to just tell you about quick was the Autobahn, because I know a lot of people, when they think of being in Europe, the Autobahn comes to mind. And I was a pretty fairly new driver, but I will end with saying that the Autobahn is an awesome experience. It's the highway of no speed limit. There is a little false to that because there are some spots that do have a posted speed limit of between 50 and 80 miles per hour. However, Germany in itself was an incredible experience. It's something that I hold near and dear to my heart for many reasons other than the things that I took in that I showed you as far as just the culture in general. And it was hard to be away from home, but it was something that I'm certainly very glad that I got the advantage to experience in my life. So thank you for listening to my speech, and I've enjoyed this class and listening to all of you throughout the whole semester. So I'm going to end by showing my audience.
No.
Okay. All right, class. Good night.